Georgia fans have been number one for a very long time. How are they going to feel if that goes away? How are they going to respond when they're not number one anymore, if they don't win this third title? We have the privilege of celebrating probably the best team college football has ever had. This Georgia team is loaded, locked and ready to go out and show Alabama what it's all about. We're going to talk about that, the Georgia offense. We're going to talk about Mike Bobo, talk about Vegas, talk about television, but most important, I'm going to give you the lock of the week and lock of a lifetime. Now, you couldn't ask for more than that. The lock of the week that you can use for a lifetime. We're going to talk Georgia football. We're going to talk about the lock of a lifetime. More on that later. This formula has never failed. 30 consecutive correct picks in the SEC championship game using this formula that I am going to share with you. I'm a generous guy. It's time to be giving. The holiday season is upon us. So can Georgia and Alabama make the playoffs? Yes, there is a way. Now, it would take a lot of outside help, but that path is still here. Championship Saturday is going to decide a lot. But when you look at the games coming up, it's not out of the question. Not out of the question that Alabama might get all the help they need. We're going to talk about some of that. Let's get back to the Georgia game. All Georgia has to do is make this offense work as good as it has. Alabama's got a great defense. On paper, hasn't been tested to see how it holds up against a truly exceptional offense. I don't think they've had a game where they were tested in that way. The nearest game was Texas, and didn't do too well. I think they lost that game. But Alabama does have a defense that's better than anything we've seen. So Georgia will have to be on their A game. Now, we're going to have coordinator Mike Bobo playing the game to win, playing the game to score, playing the game to be wide open like he knows how to do. But will he do that? We never know with Mike Bobo, so we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that he wants some revenge for 2012. Think about that. That was his career demise. He lost that game. 2012, and his career was basically over. There was no opportunity for redemption. But he has it now, thanks to Kirby Smart. Giving him a chance to redeem himself. So that is something to watch. You would think that Mike Bobo would take full advantage of this opportunity. Cinch up the Broyles Award to be the best coordinator, and possibly even get maybe a big job. There's going to be some jobs open. There's already been one coordinator hired. Who's to say Mike Bobo can't get a big head coaching job? But first things first. Right now we got to play a ball game that involves a lot more than a football team. We got to play television. We got to play Vegas. We got to fight ref ball. All kind of factors kick into a game like the SEC championship game, especially in this year's environment. But we're going to focus on the football realities and talk a little bit about how Georgia can win this game. I'd like to take a moment to thank all the new listeners. The last 3 or 4 videos I've done have attracted thousands and thousands of new listeners, and I appreciate you checking out our show. We're concerned about college football. We're Georgia fans. I am. And welcome aboard. My plan for this video was to give you a lock of the week and a lock of the lifetime. But as I studied this week, I just couldn't make this video. And I'll get to that because the idea would be to talk about how Georgia could win the game and what they needed to do and what Alabama needed to do, the dynamics of the football game. And then I realized that perhaps that's a rabbit hole that isn't the answer. I discovered this a long time ago. It's how I came up with a formula that has not failed. So I no longer have really any passion for the game like I did in my younger days, caring about what happens with the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, you take a loss hard. It hurts. It hurts for a long time, no matter what happens, whether you drop in the polls or this or that. You lost the game. It's just, we haven't done that in a while. So I was going to get this video done and talk about that game and give you a lock for this championship game, and obviously a little late for that. Georgia lost 24-27. I had that as a secondary pick, not my primary pick. The formula had this one going all kind of ways, and I couldn't ever get a read on this week. All the data that would come in would make yesterday's data more confusing. I did not really know who was going to win any of these games. But by Thursday, I thought all 4 of the championship games would be lost by the teams that were favored. I expected Georgia to lose. I expected Michigan to maybe lose. And Texas could lose. And Florida State could lose. Kind of expected those to happen, the Saturday Night Massacre, because the formula was pointing in that direction. But it would never read correctly, and so I could not apply the formula to this week's game. It could have been a football game. Georgia could have just not been able to score. But I don't think that was all there was to it. And that's what we are here to talk about. Is it a fair game? Why are we even worried about it if it's already been predetermined that something's going to happen? Not because of what happened necessarily on the field, but decisions made about an outcome in advance. Jim Harbaugh showed us the underbelly of college football is capable of many more dastardly things. So we have to consider those possibilities. So basically, a disappointing outcome for Georgia against Alabama, a disappointing weekend in college football, and all the undefeated teams kept winning, and the model that I was going on, I factored in the playoff eligibility situation that would be critical to outcomes of games. In other words, I was factoring into the equation that most of these games would not necessarily be without some controversy, and you know what that means. And there wasn't. All the teams won. Georgia lost. The critical point of tonight's game was, did Mike Bobo give us our best chance to win? And he clearly, he did not. First order of business I would have if I was Kirby Smart is I would fire Mike Bobo Sunday morning. 2 chances to win an SEC and lost them both in similar fashion with an underwhelming approach to an elite team. Mike Bobo simply has not performed in those environments. Is it because he's crooked and betting on the games? Who knows? But he just missed that under by half a point. Maybe he was trying. So who knows who's going to get in some player's head? Who knows which one of these factions that decide ball games other than football players get in someone's ear, make something happen, and they know it will. The money is just too big to ignore. $70 million added to the Atlanta economy just on tickets and dinner and things like that. That's a tip of the iceberg for all the money that changes hands in the SEC championship game and the things that game decides. Who gets in the playoffs almost every time is up for grabs. But Mike Bobo could have bucked the system. Everybody could have been planning on Georgia losing. If Mike Bobo had ran that offense the way I believe it could have run and has been shown to have run, they wouldn't have lost that game by a field goal. Something wasn't right about this game, and something's not right about the game itself. And that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of. I promised you a lot. It's still unclear what the SEC had in mind. Were they trying to get two teams in? And did Georgia help them out? Who knows? It's all in the game, as they say.